Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and not only am I honored to serve you, but I'm a little froggy this morning. So I've got some congestion that's making my throat sound funny, but it might be great for voiceovers. Who knows? So we hope that our service this morning finds you happy and healthy, but please know that if you are struggling in any way, we hope that Temple Buddhist Center can be a source of refuge, a source of strength and community as we open our hearts to you and to your loved ones. Here at TBC, we like to begin our service with some conscious breath work, an opportunity to settle in and relax, move into the body. So let's take a few moments to ground, experience the body, and to breathe together. Conscious breathing is where you breathe deeply in through the nose, or if your nose is stuffy, you can just breathe in through your mouth. You hold that breath for a few moments and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for a moment and releasing slowly. And as you release, checking in with the body, noticing any points of contraction or tension. Remembering to release the forehead, unfurrow the eyebrows, let the shoulders drop. The belly softens, and with every out-breath, we find a deeper level of ease and gentleness. And a second conscious breath together. And releasing. Nice, long, slow, easy release. And as you release the breath this second time, giving ourselves full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing and striving and efforting, as together with Sangha, we cultivate the energy of just being. That energy that requires nothing of us and is a constant source of essence, life force. And a third conscious breath together. And releasing. And as we release this third breath, letting our breathing settle into its natural flow and its natural rhythm, we bring our awareness to the present moment. The present moment might seem like a small increment of time, but it actually has no beginning and no end. And we are always arriving in the here and the now. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we also like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. Chanting is about having a voice. It is about a deeply devotional practice of expressing what is sacred within you and sharing that with the universe. Not only is it a chance for us to share our voices together, but it continues that process of sharing and connecting our energy as a Sangha, both near and far, as everyone at home in the PJ Sangha is joining us this morning from all around the world. So we want to include them in our hearts and in our energy as we prepare for today's chant. Today's chant is the chant that honors the green Tara. It is Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tude Soha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tude Soha. And this is the chant that honors the mother of all Buddhas. Tara is the actuality of compassion and wisdom. So let's begin first by just taking a conscious breath together. And let's begin. Om Tare Tu Tare Tude Soha. 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 Once more. Om Tare Tu Tare Tude Soha. And so again, welcoming you all to our service this morning. Temple Buddhist Center practices Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is active, it's dynamic, it is inclusive, and it focuses on core Buddhist insights, as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, sharing from the heart, or spending time in noble silence, we expect and respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take, here at Temple Buddhist Center, we take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh, new perspective to each and every encounter. And the second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and delusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And finally, Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth where we come together to practice the teachings with each other and to help each other along every step of the path. So let's take a moment now to silence any cell phones or electronic devices as we prepare for a time in contemplation and meditation. We will begin with the prayer of refuge, which we will recite 3 times. Together, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so, as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then I invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If, however, you are perhaps new to meditation, then I invite you to follow along as we begin our meditation first with a conscious breath, and we set an intention, and then we will sound the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels. And then after that, our teacher today, Miss Jenny Hahn, is going to lead us in a guided meditation that's designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes this morning in noble silence, connecting with each other in consciousness. Afterwards, Jenny will then lovingly and kindly bring us out of meditation. We will sound the return bell, and then it'll be time for today's Dharma talk, or teaching. And so let's take a conscious breath together. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
So beginning by bringing awareness to our posture, sitting in a way that is comfortable and yet alert. Noticing and receiving the sounds, and just bringing awareness to our position in this seat, in this space, in this time. Allowing the breath to be natural, to be easy, allowing the breath to begin to bring us home to ourselves, to this moment. Allowing ourselves to simply be. Letting go of the need to do, to make anything happen. And softening into receiving. Receiving this breath. Moving into a space of becoming the witness of our experiences. A witness to the aliveness in this form, this body. And bringing a gentle curiosity to each sensation, each experience, each breath. And allowing the breath to be what we can come home to anytime we notice that we get lost in thinking or daydreaming or planning. Coming home to this moment. Coming home to this breath. Again and again. And so taking some moments to rest in the silence together. this breath. This moment. And breathing in, feeling the aliveness of the body. Breathing out, and smiling at the joy of this moment. Allowing life to happen as we are the witness to our experience. So I invite you to bring awareness to sound, the sound of my voice, the sounds in this room. And being fully present as we welcome the sound of the bell. Thank you, Victor. I'd like to invite us back into this room, this time and space together. It's so good to have you all here today. So I'd like to start off by just inviting us all to take a moment to reflect on a time in our lives when we felt a sense of absolute joy, absolute peace, bliss perhaps. Maybe feeling just a great sense of fulfillment. Just reflect for a moment. You can even close your eyes if you wish. Maybe there's a time from childhood, or maybe it was just yesterday. Maybe it's right now. Perhaps an experience in nature, perhaps an experience with another person or people. Perhaps completing a challenge that felt really gratifying. So I invite us to just breathe in for a moment and really just notice and embody what that felt like. Whatever the experience was for you. Maybe there was a combination of experiences. But just to notice what the experience was, what qualities in the body, in the mind. How present were you in those moments? How present were you? How connected did you feel? Again, either with yourself, with nature, with spirit, with others. What was your sense of connection? How active was your mind? Or how inactive was your mind? And finally, what was your sense of self in those moments? Did you have a strong sense of being a separate self, being a me, being an I, or not? So if your eyes are closed, I invite you to come back to this space. And so I'm not a psychic, but I'm going to make a few guesses about your experiences of those just deepest moments of bliss and joy. I'm going to guess that there was probably a very high level of presence, of receiving, not of making things happen, of receiving. I'm going to guess that the regular thinking mind was rather quiet. And yet your perceptions were probably quite high. Your awareness of the senses, of being in the body, of fully receiving through your senses. Your sense of self was probably a little less like present in those moments, like maybe fading to the background a little. And I'm gonna guess that there was a sense of like non-resistance, a sense of flow to it all. So how did I do? Was I close? So my talk today is on living in the flow. And we've all had these experiences, right, in our lives. They might look quite different for each one of us. But what I want to talk about today is how we can create more of these experiences in our lives. Experiences of deep presence, of deep connection to our environment, to ourselves. And these experiences of trust, of allowing. So our normal mode of operation in the world is usually along the lines of, I am a self, right, doing something in order to get something. Does that line up for anyone else here? Or for anyone else in the PJ Sangha? Don't want to forget about the PJ Sangha and those on watching the archive. Normally we are a self doing something to get something. A lot of our daily operations in life revolve around those things. I am a person going to a job to get money, to do the things I want to do. Or I am me in this relationship, being this, to receive love, whatever it is. And so that compared to or contrasted with living in the flow, how do those work together? Living in the flow is about surrender. It is about being in the flow of life, of this flow of phenomenon that we are a part of. We are not the controllers of it. We are a part of it. And there is both a science and an art to living in the flow. As with many things, there's a science to it and there's an art to it. So let's talk first about the science. There are a lot of studies today, these days, in the field of positive psychology. Positive psychology, studying optimal brain functioning and not just illness or pathology. And part of that positive psychology, there's a lot of study on flow psychology. Some of you might be familiar with the Hungarian psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who has passed away, but did several decades of study in the realm of flow psychology and wrote a lot about it. And many of us might be familiar with that experience of being in the zone. A lot of the times it's referred to with athletes who just get in that space of complete presence, complete absorption in what they're doing, to the point where the rest of the world fades away, where there is this laser focus, and yet almost like time can slow down. Time can stretch or speed up or slow down. Has anyone else in here had that experience before in different ways? Yeah. Doesn't have to be with sports. Can be, I'm an artist, so sometimes when I get in that painting flow, I experience that where I'm like, oh wow, 5 hours just went by? I thought that was 5 minutes. Exercise is a great way to get into that space, but there are many ways. Anything that we are doing in our lives, anything that we love to do, can put us into kind of that state of being in the zone. And there's a cool term for it that the medical field has come up with. Transient hypofrontality. There's a mouthful. That's your word for the day, your phrase for the day, transient hypofrontality. There'll be a quiz at the end. But what that means basically, so transient means temporary, hypo is lessened or lowered versus hypo, and then frontality is referring to the prefrontal cortex, the cognitive, executive functioning of the brain. This is where our sense of self actually resides. And so in transient hypofrontality, we have less activity, less blood flow to the frontal lobes. And that allows for instinctual subconsciousness to arise. So we have a calming of those powerful organizing executive functions of the brain. And what that does is that creates space for more meandering connections in the brain, a freer interplay of connections. So the way I like to describe that, again, my artist self, is it's like quieting the inner critic so that the inner child has room to play. Quieting the inner critic so the inner child has more room to play. So we're not talking about just spacing out or zoning out. We're just talking about a lessening of critical thinking or premeditated action. And so, like I said, there's many ways to kind of facilitate that state, exercise being one of the most proven ways through studies, yoga, tai chi. Of course, there's mind-altering drugs, which we won't go into that today, but and alcohol included in that. But also being in nature, going for long walks, taking a shower or a warm bath. How many people get wonderful, crazy ideas in the shower? I know some of us do. Yeah, that's where some of our best ideas come from, right? Breath work, drumming. Drumming is great. Playtime, recess, right? And also another great activity to facilitate that flow state, meditation. What we're all here for today, right? So there are still entire research groups dedicated to studying these states, these optimal states. And you know, it's a lot of times it's framed within the goal of optimizing like performance, you know, achieving better productivity. And you know, you can see how it can easily fit into this realm of of our achieving and doing minds, right? Of our westernized culture where it's all about doing and achieving and optimal performance. And that's great, that's wonderful. But what I want to talk about today is really the art of flow and how we can create these experiences, not just create the experiences, but to be here and to be happy, to experience bliss, because bliss is always here, it's always available. It's just, are we here? Are we available? So the art of flow. The art of flow is pure awareness, unfiltered by ego or conventions. As I mentioned, it is a state of receiving, allowing. I'm going to receive some water. Excuse me. A state of receiving and allowing. We can receive through the sense gates, can't we? We can receive sound, receive color and form and texture, receive taste, receive touch, receive smell, sense. We can receive the flow of our emotions. So part of being in the flow and being in the moment is not resisting those difficult sensations, difficult emotions, but receiving those as well, allowing. So we're not trying to resist or force, grasp or push away, but surrendering to what is here now, even when it is uncomfortable. When we can be with that, we can actually change our relationship to it. And therefore, it can become part of our experience of happiness, of peace, of bliss, even if it doesn't look beautiful or it doesn't feel great. When we can feel it and be with it, then we're allowing. And finally, part of the art of flow is that attitude of curiosity. And that leads to, guess what? It leads to creativity. I know that everybody is creative. We are all creative beings. And this is what I lead workshops where I help facilitate and encourage that exploration of creativity. And so many people will come to me and say, well, I want to try this, but I'm not creative. I'm not creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I say, okay, that's fine. You don't have to identify as an artist, but in truth, we are all creative. Because creativity is simply being present in the moment to the flow of life and then responding to it. That's what creativity is. So creativity is the choices and the decisions that we make. Creativity is what clothes we put on today. It's what we speak. It's what comes through our voice every time we communicate with someone. We are all creative. And the creativity that comes from being in the flow is one that is spontaneous. It is intuitive. It's fresh. It's unbiased. And again, it's responsive. How do we respond? How do we respond to the challenges that life presents us? What creative action do we take? What are we inspired to do? I think of creative flow as like a river. We can tap it at any time. We can get in at any place. And it's really directed by our curiosity and our interest, our passions. What are we passionate about? So Robert Brummett, who often speaks here, some of you probably are familiar with his talks and have been here when he's presented, one of my teachers of more than a couple decades, he has a poem called Of Rivers and Roads that has always inspired me, because it uses that analogy of a road being like the rational mind. The rational mind is like a road that takes us from point A to point B to point C, and so on, in a continual progression of growth and attainment, right? And yet the heart, the soul, the intuitive mind, if you will, creativity that I'm talking about, is really more like a river. It laughs at the linear trajectory, right? It revels in the spiral flow and the spiral dance of life, the flow of phenomenon and uncertainty and just the absurdity of all of it, right? The cosmic joke of all of it, the divine play of it all. The ego mind might say, I need to heal my traumas and attain enlightenment within the next year. And presence will say, oh, wow, look at the colors of the sky right now. So it's about that mindfulness, right? That choiceless awareness of the present moment. And, speaking of rivers, so water is a great symbol, analogy for this flow. And, I love the Taoist philosophy. You might be familiar with the Tao Te Ching, the Taoist book by Lao Tzu. And the 15th verse is, those who flow as life flows know that they need no other force. They need no other force. So there's a concept in Taoism called Wu Wei. This is another great phrase for today. Wu Wei. That one's just fun to say. And Wu Wei is another term for happiness, basically, but what it really means is effortless action. It's the golden path between anxiety and boredom, the balance between action and non-action, knowing when to act and when not to act, flowing but without force. So we're expending less energy and with less collateral damage. The opposite of ambition and striving, and really goes against the grain of again, our culture, our Western capitalism, and just this striving and going. So I invite you to imagine just how your life might shift by slowing down, by taking action only when necessary, in a way that causes no harm, in a way that feels natural and joyful. We often mistake passivity for laziness, and yet we suffer so much from anxiety, from depression. What if there was another way? What if there was another way of being in the world, of allowing that flow, to navigate the river without trying to control it? from the 78th chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. So we're not talking about passivity here. We're not talking about allowing for abuse or for the troubles of the world, for racism and misogyny and all the things, for domestic violence. We're not talking about allowing those things. We're talking about having awareness for that which we have control or agency to change, and that which is beyond our control. There's a lot of things that are beyond our control. Some of our bodily processes beyond our control. The weather, the Kansas City weather, beyond our control. Our own death, whenever that will occur. So knowing and tuning in to what is ours to do, what is not ours to do. And I think of the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can't, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Or another version that I just heard, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the friends to post my bail when I finally snap. So how to navigate the river without trying to control it. And this practice, we are in this practice, aren't we? We are in the practice of surrendering, of releasing attachment to the results, of trusting the process. That is our meditation practice. That is what we are here to get to experience together. And so I will close with a Rumi poem. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me, and without pain. From this, I understand that what I also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There's a great secret here for anyone who can grasp it. And so bliss is available in each moment if we are here to experience it. And thank you, my friends. Be in that flow.
Thank you so much, Jenny. So as we transition from the Dharma talk into our heart practice, it's not uncommon to take a moment to stretch, maybe shift your posture. And I invite you to take a conscious breath together. And today's heart practice is an equanimity practice. Equanimity is one of the 4 faces of the heart. It's one of the 4 Brahma Viharas. And so you might want to close your eyes for just a moment. Some people like to place their hand on their heart, or even both hands if you want. Sometimes you can place your hands on your lap with the palms facing up. And so just settling for a moment. Softening the belly, relaxing, shoulders dropping. And I want to invite you for a moment to go ahead and reflect. reflect on both the joy and the sorrow that exists in the world. Allowing those, excuse me, allowing those to mix and mingle within your heart, the joys, the warmth, the sunshine, the laughter, as well as the sorrows, the difficulties, the challenges. Allow those to mix and mingle and blend within your heart. And so now, allow your heart's truest longing for truth and well-being to come into consciousness. With each breath, breathe into the heart center the acknowledgement of the need to balance your pure intention of creating positive change with the reality of your inability to control others. Breathing in that mix of joy and sorrow, at the same time, breathing into your heart that mix as well of our pure intention of creating positive change with the reality that is our inability to control others, allowing these to mix, to blend, to mingle. And upon that, repeat the following phrases silently to yourself. All beings are responsible for their own actions. Suffering or happiness is created through one's relationship to experience, not by experience itself. The freedom and happiness of others is dependent on their actions, not on my wishes for them. All beings are responsible for their own actions. Suffering or happiness is created through one's relationship to experience, not by experience itself. The freedom and happiness of others is dependent on their actions, not on my wishes for them. Relax into the reverberations of this balance between harmonizing the heart's deepest desire to help others with the mind's wise response of acknowledging our limitations and our powerlessness. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I calm. things be well. And so, we end our that practice, our heart practice, with time now to reflect upon dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we have a number of programs that receive dana from us and share that with us. Pardon me. In the true spirit of dana itself, Temple Buddhist Center services here are given freely. And in the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge may find it here in this temple with these teachers and with these teachings. The dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall. And so we also take a moment of gratitude for all of our wonderful ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's that the regular monthly giving helps TBC to set a budget. And we also want to acknowledge all of our friends joining us from all around the world on the live streaming and on our website. And so at this time, we also take gratitude and let our hearts fill with warmth and love and blessings for all of our volunteers. Thank you to all of our volunteers who do so much to help us set everything up each and every day and bring more opportunities for spiritual practice to our Sangha. Also, thank you so much to Christine for your beautiful music. Thank you. Thank you for the lozengers. Thank you so much to Eric and to Dave for everything they do to help keep the service up and running. And thank you so much to Ms. Jenny Hahn. Thank you, Jenny, so much for your talk today. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited for all the things that are opening up for you here at TBC and just all over the place. And thank you very much to each and every one of you for everything that you do to share your heart and your presence and your practice with us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And as we prepare for our bodhicitta dedication, I'm gonna have to go faster if we keep getting more people. I'll put that up on the board here. And so all of our folks up in the heavenly abodes, all right, we'll recite our bodhicitta dedication together, and then I have just a few announcements. And so with that, let's take a conscious breath. Let's begin. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth now from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everyone, so much. Don't forget, downstairs, right after the service, are delicious crumble cookies. Thank you, Carrie. And there's also coffee and tea. We have also our lending library is right over here. So if you ever have an interest in picking up a book on meditation or mindfulness or the Buddhist practice, the lending library is open and available to you. We've got some great stuff coming up, and I have a new announcement. There it goes. Of course, this is our 4-day silent retreat. There are still 5 rooms open. So we still have 5 rooms available for the silent meditation retreat called Awakening the Universe, the Dharma and Cosmology. And so that will be December 29th through the 2nd. You can attend 3 ways. You can sequester with us, get one of the 5 rooms that's left, and stay there with us for the 5 days. You can also commute. Some people just drive in. spend the day with us, and then go home at night. And you can also join virtually. All of this information is available on our website, templebuddhistcenter.com. There we go. And we have a full moon mandala, and we're going to create a flower mandala. There's a full moon meditation, dances of universal peace, and chanting. All of that is on Friday, January 6th from 7 to 9 p.m. It is a free event. Love offerings are always accepted, but we hope you can join us downstairs for that as we welcome in the first full moon of the new year. Here's the big one. Everybody's been asking about our mala bead workshop, and it has been completely figured out. We've got a wonderful bead mistress who's going to help us with all the different stones and how to create mala beads. We're going to have teachings on the origin of the mala bead, also the different uses as a meditation tool. And when you're done with the workshop, you will have an opportunity to create your very own mala bead as either something for yourself or as a gift. And so that is January 22nd at 1 p.m. So it's a Sunday, so you'll have time to come to service, maybe go to the post-service discussion group at 10:15, or go downstairs and have coffee and cookies or whatever, and then come back up and do the workshop on the 22nd. And I'll leave this up here for everybody that has all of our many wonderful other offerings. Thank you, Dave. Dave leads Recovery Dharma on Thursday nights. There'll be Buddhism and 12-Step at 12:30 today. There's Tai Chi Cha on Tuesdays. And, Buddha and the Bean every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. online only. That's just coffee and a celebration of awakening in all of its forms. So again, thank you all so much for tolerating and putting up with my foggy, froggy voice. And as you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and Ricolas.